Are your skincare products doing more harm than good? Whether it's the washes you use or the creams or the moisturizers, there are so many skincare products out there, but are they actually causing more harm to your skin and health than they are doing good for it? On today's episode of the Exercise is Health podcast, this is the exact question that we are exploring with skincare expert Chris Gibson. We're going to cue the intro song and then we're going to dive right into this conversation. Welcome to the Exercise is Health podcast, where we're talking about exercise, health, and the interconnectedness of the two. We are your hosts, Charlie
and Julie,
and we will be coming to you every single week from our studio, Muscle Activation Schaumburg. Hey, what's going on, exercisers? This is Charlie. Before we dive into this week's episode, I want to ask you if you've ever thought to yourself, wow, the information on the Exercise is Health podcast is so great, but how do I go about implementing it? This is a question that we have been hearing time and again from so many of you. And because of that, we have created something that you are going to absolutely love. And that is the One Workout Away Challenge. See, you are just one workout away from feeling stronger, from functioning better, and from living healthier. And over the course of 28 days, Julie and I want to teach you how. To learn more about the next One Workout Away Challenge and get signed up, go to owa.matschaumburg.com. And without further ado, let's get into this week's episode. Hey, welcome back, exercisers, to the Exercise is Health podcast. We are your hosts, Charlie
and Julie,
and we're coming to you from our studio, Muscle Activation Schaumburg, here in Schaumburg, Illinois, where we believe that your health is your most valuable asset, and the single best thing that you can do to both boost and protect this asset is exercise. Specifically, exercise is geared towards building the health and function of your muscles. But we know that exercise is not the only piece of the puzzle, which is why we bring you rock star guests month in and month out to talk about other aspects that relate to your health, just like today's guest expert, Chris Gibson. Chris Gibson is a sought-after skincare expert and holistic health coach and esthetician. He is also the best-selling author of the acclaimed book, Acne Free in 3 Days, with over 1 million copies sold. His YouTube channel, Chris Gibson Live, has over 130,000 subscribers and is dedicated to providing expert information and product reviews on skincare and wellness topics for both skin issues and anti-aging. He was recently featured in USA Today on the topic of 7 freaky chemicals in your skincare products and how to avoid them, and has also been featured on CBS, ABC Family, Fox News, The Daily Buzz, and numerous lifestyle television and radio shows across the country and in Canada. Chris, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to our show.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, right on. I'm very excited about this conversation because, skincare is a really big thing and it's one of your areas of expertise. So I would love to kind of start off by what is skincare? Like, how do you define it?
Well, skincare is really about health. It's about, just like anything else, weight, your diet, your fitness levels. Skincare is really about skin health. That's the focus that I take with it. So while I talk a lot about anti-aging and wrinkle prevention and wrinkle reductions and those things that come along with all of that, really skin health is the thing that gets you to the end of the line that you want throughout your life. You won't want to have skin cancer. You don't want to have dryness issues, crepey skin. So I guess a lot of damage prevention is kind of the focus. So me and skincare, it is for some people a luxury. It is a way, it's self-care, which is really good. And all of those things are just fine. But that's such a great question because when you boil all of that down, healthy looking skin looks good.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
if you're not going to be able to cover that up unless you use makeup. So it's the largest organ of the body. It has a lot to do with your overall health balance. And I think that people have begun to really understand that, especially with the new therapies that have come out with red light therapy. This is stuff that's not topical anymore. So there is a focus now, especially among, I hate to use the word baby boomers, but it's really, younger than that even, of wanting to look good. Maybe nobody wants to look 20 when they're 50. You think you do.
Sure.
You think you do. But when you get to 50 and 60, there's a certain amount of the aging process that you're kind of proud of. You kind of earned that. But no one wants to look haggard or old or unwell. So that's kind of why I say I think it really is just about the health of your skin.
Yeah, I can appreciate that so much, and it being a reflection of the overall health of your body as well. I really like
Right.
that point you brought up. I mean, just for me personally, I know that there were times in my life when I'd be really, really stressed and my skin would start to break out, or
That's right.
when I was not eating as as regimented or strictly, or I was including a lot more stuff that was maybe creating inflammation in my system, or spurring inflammatory. Like I would notice that, okay, my skin would break out. Whenever I eat these things, my skin breaks out. And so there
Yep.
was that direct connection, that direct reflection of my overall health and the health and the look of my skin.
Right.
What kind of things do you see? Because to me, like I turn on the TV and there are ads that come up, and it seems like from a skin health and skincare perspective, like you're saying, it's still very topical in nature. It's this cream, it's that. So what are some of the challenges with that approach?
Well, the challenges is in the skincare industry has become very, very competitive. Not that it ever wasn't
Mhm.
competitive, but with celebrities getting in, so now branding and commercial promise from skincare lines, they try to find a way to be unique.
Mm.
And I won't pick on Ellen. She's the latest one with Kind to Skin, and she's using some different ingredients that make it a little more unique. And there's packaging and certain things that she's included in her line to make her unique versus say like a J Lo. These are luxury skincare lines.
Mm.
Um, so celebrity driven skincare lines, you know, that's the first hurdle is getting past the noise.
Sure.
In fact, I'm doing a series of videos that are coming out on the YouTube channel that is skincare ingredients like 101. I've done skincare 101, but this is what do you need exactly and what does it do and how does it fit? So that it's not about the brand or the brand promise or how much you're spending, but it's about the actual ingredient, what it can do. So
Mm.
topicals are still very important
Mhm.
part of skin health, but we're also seeing the evolution of light therapies,
Mm.
microneedling, things that can be now done in the home that were done in the dermatologist office and or in a salon with a licensed esthetician. And some of the devices are close to medical grade.
Really?
So the FDA
Huh.
has allowed what we see as FDA approved,
Hmm.
and then we see FDA like recommended where they've actually gone through the testing. So FDA approved means that the technology that the device using is FDA approved and proven.
Mm.
But there's a lot of range, just like with skincare products, in the efficacy of a device and how much you spend on it. And so I do a lot of reviewing of those things.
Mm.
Um, so I think what we're going to see to answer your question more pointedly as we go through the next 10 years or so. Now that'll make me 68, 58. In the next 10 years, what I think we'll see is a lot
Oh,
more.
okay. Wait, time out. Because I know this is an audio podcast, but I'm seeing you on Zoom right now. You're
Yeah,
58.
yeah,
No
yeah,
freaking way. I would have get
yeah,
like if you would have asked me, I would have said like in your 30s. Like
yeah.
that. That's what I would have thought. Okay,
Yeah,
you have your skin health game under wraps. Like you
yeah,
got it down. That's crazy.
yeah. And I think and I part of it has been I started early in
Hmm.
my early 20s because I had acne, and I learned just like you did that food was a big trigger for me. Certain foods, not necessarily the mythological foods like chocolate, but sugar was a big issue for me, and some dairy products was an issue. So I had to clean those out of my diet to clear that up. So I had that real passion for the fact that you could heal yourself.
Hmm.
That was amazing to me,
Yeah.
that the body could do that. So that kind of is my driver. But I think what we're going to see over the next 10 years, maybe even sooner, is more and more reliance on these therapies that go below the surface of the skin, which topicals cannot do, with the exception of retinol and tretinoin. Those do go
Hmm.
beyond the surface of the skin. And that's going to be the primary skincare routine where the topical will be the support
Okay.
of that, because they're not invasive, the light therapies, but they are somewhat invasive in that they can get down to those lower levels of skin and stimulate mitochondria, cell division. They're
Mhm.
able to help produce more collagen back in the face,
Okay.
and even regenerate bone. So a lot of
Hmm.
the sports technology, which has been
Yeah.
around for many years, that they use in speed healing athletes. That athlete that gets crushed on the
Yeah.
field is back on the field in 3 weeks, and you're like, any normal human being would just not be able to
Right.
do that. Um, is they've been using these light therapies and these radio frequency therapies for a really long time to regenerate tissue and speed healing, and now it's made it into the skincare
Very interesting.
arena.
Very interesting.
So it's not that the technology is really that new. The application is new.
So I was going to kind of follow that up with well, what's the benefit of being able to do stuff that's just not on the surface of the skin?
Well, it's because what we see, your surface of your skin is old news, and I make jokes about, for some people it's really old news, but your skin is created down below the surface skin that we see is actually dead skin cells, several layers deep. This is why you hear a lot about exfoliation and peels and how they can really, those things can make a person look a lot better to get that old skin off, because it sort of blocks your topical products from working well. It adds to the thickness of that outer layer, which leads to wrinkling and texture problems, all of that stuff. So the light therapies and radio frequency therapy and even EMS, which is electrical muscle stimulation therapies, go below that surface of the skin. It's not a chemical, but the light tickles the mitochondria, which makes the cell division and reproduction speed up. You're producing healthier cells. So over time, 30, 60, 90 days onward, the skin that you begin to see on the surface, much better shape than it had been before. It's the same way retinols work. Retinol does seep through the skin and does some similar things. Some people can't tolerate it. It's vitamin A derivative. It's an acid, retinoic acid. It helps speed up that cellular turnover. It helps correct some of the DNA damage from accumulated DNA damage over the years from sun exposure. So it's when you combine some of these top-notch topical therapies with something like microneedling or something like red light therapy or UL therapy, which is ultrasound wavelengths, warming those layers. When they warm those layers of cells, the cells wake up. Basically, it wakes everything up and it activates it without a drug. And you can go in and get some fairly invasive UL therapy. It can make you a little sore. So we have lasers. That's still for surface. You can do laser resurfacing for acne scars, broken veins, telangiectasias, that's spider veins. All of those type of things can be taken care of with laser therapies, but this is actually going below the surface of the skin and changing the structure back to a more youthful, if you want to call it, biome. There's a microbiome on the skin, and then there's a subbiome down below the levels. So that's kind of what that works. And that's why I think, because those therapies work so well in the long term, that's going to be what people spend their money on. And then the topicals will help with the surface issues, which is like get a facelift. It lifts everything, but it doesn't change the surface of your skin. So if you've got hyperpigmentation, age spots, that kind of stuff, you still have to rely on topical products to help fade those.
Gotcha. Very interesting. So to your knowledge, are there any potential risks with doing like light therapy or something like that?
No, there's a lot of confusion, and the internet is great in some ways, some ways not so great. When we're talking about stimulation for mitochondria and cell growth, there are different wavelengths of light do different things, stimulate different things. Certain wavelengths of light stimulate hair growth. We know that. People are regrowing their hair with red light therapy. Then there is certain wavelengths that tickle that mitochondria that help produce more collagen in the skin. And then there are red light wavelengths that tend to melt fat cells. So where the confusion is, oh my God, if I try to use this red light therapy, is it going to melt the fat in my face and I'm gonna have a bony face?
I gotcha.
No. So, but that's a really legitimate question, because all of these different therapies can be tweaked to different levels and wavelengths of light, blue light, red light, all of those things, and they give you different results. It's like laser therapy. It's not like a laser treats everything. Different laser therapies, different applications treat different skin issues. So
very interesting.
That's the case. It would be like saying, if I get laser therapy, is it going to melt? Because lasers, can melt fat. Cold therapies can melt, kill fat cells. You're not going to use that in a skin. You're going to find that in a skin application. So the applications, that's why it goes through the FDA approval process. The technology, if you're using red light therapy like a mask or some device like that, it's FDA approved. That technology that you're using is approved for that use for that particular result.
Okay. Okay.
Better said. Better said.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that so much. So I guess my follow-up to that then is, are the topicals even necessary if you'd be like healing the skin? It might take 30, 60, 90 days, but what would be the use of the topicals then?
Your topicals are going to be for your surface skin issues, whereas these red light therapies are more for structure of the skin
Okay.
and production of skin cells. So
Okay.
what I would give an example of a basic anti-aging skincare routine that someone in their 30s should be doing. To be using the correct face wash, that you don't change your pH so much your face is dry, tight, squeaky clean. You don't want that, whether it's oily or dry or normal. You want a creamy style cleanser for dry to normal skin, and you want a clarifying, clear foaming cleanser for oily skin. So we don't want to strip the skin of its natural oil. Oil is not what creates acne. It's bacteria that creates acne. So you want to preserve your oil. Then we want to apply a vitamin C serum. And the reason we want that's an antioxidant that helps on the surface cells of the skin, protect the skin from oxidation, from free radical damage. And it also helps protect you to some degree from damaging effects of UVA, UVB light.
Cool.
Then applying a peptide product, which is just amino acids that your skin produces anyway, but we produce less as we get older, supports that surface layer, helps speed up that cellular turnover, as does a skincare acid like glycolic acid, something I've used since I was 21. Helps keep those old skin cells coming off through exfoliation. Okay. And then, of course, using a hydrating moisturizer that's like hyaluronic acid or squalene, something that your skin understands already and knows to keep that moisture. Because really what we see in aging skin is a lack of moisture. That's the biggest why some of those creams, the promise really is kind of there. You can see something as soon as you apply the cream. If you've got crepey skin and you apply a really well formulated hydrating cream with ceramides, hyaluronic acid, and squalene, you're going to see the skin plump up and a lot of that crepiness go away. So that's that. And then, of course, sunscreen. Got to wear your sunscreen or none of this stuff's going to work in the long run anyway. And people think, okay, sunscreen's protection. But what happens when people begin to wear sunscreen on a regular basis on the areas that are particularly exposed, neck, face, upper chest, tops of arms, backs of hands, you're actually helping your skin reverse age. So it's not just that you're protecting it. You can think of it as a topical that is actually helping to de-age your skin. So that. And then at night, of course, that cleansing is very all its cosmetics off, whether that's using a micellar water or an oil cleanse, all the cosmetics, if you wear them off, clean slate, again, some peptides, a retinol moisturizer, and a good ceramide hydrating night cream. That's it. That's really all you need. That sounds like a lot more. There's 4 steps in the morning and 2 at night.
Yeah, for sure.
And of course, you're going to treat, if you have hyperpigmentation spots, there are skincare products for that purpose that you would apply as well. But that retinol at night when your body's at rest in its repair cycle is the best time to wear it, because it's going to have the ability to work well, because it's going to be able to sit on the skin. Whereas when you wear a retinol during the day, sunlight breaks down retinoic acid, so it doesn't work as well.
Okay.
So but that's really it for an anti-aging. You just did those things, your skin's going to look good.
What's so interesting about it is like you said, there were a lot of words, at least I'm unfamiliar with. So kind of first listen through, it does sound like a lot, but when you break it down, that it's like 4 things at night, 4 in the morning, 2 at night, and then sunscreen in the middle. Like you just kind of get past the language and then you get it into your routine. And I'm sure it just goes super quickly. Yeah.
It's like brushing your teeth. It's a habit that you build.
Sure. No, that totally makes sense. What do you see as some of the issues with most of the kind of anti-aging skincare routines that are out there?
That too much. People do too much. They buy the next best thing. They don't understand the ingredients, so they overlap. So you may be putting on too much of something because it's in several different products. So more often than not, I deconstruct skincare routines than construct them.
Sure.
Because everybody, a lot of people that watch my channel are skincare junkies. I mean, it's something they're passionate about, or they're trying to correct a problem. So I get it. But that's why I do review skincare products that I like, but I'm always telling people, look, this isn't a push for you to buy this. It's just that this product is well formulated. I like it. I would use it. If it's a good fit for you, buy it. But I still have folks that, well, anything I talk about, they'll purchase. And I'm like, no, you don't need, you just need to stay in that lane. You can change out products.
Sure.
You may change out a product for something else. Or let's just use a retinol moisturizer for something that you that may have some extra ingredients that maybe you feel might be more beneficial. That's fine. But you don't want to be applying just layers and layers of skincare. I did a review video a couple of years ago on Madeline Pesh. She's from Riverdale. She's an actress. She had a 39-step skincare routine.
Wow.
39.
Wow.
And I'm like, no offense to her. I tell you, whatever works for you, you do, you boo, right? But 39 steps. I mean, that's hours in the bathroom doing this different things. And that doesn't, I'm not taking away that you may have some specialized things you do certain nights of the week. Like you may do some microblading, or you might do a microneedle session, or you might do the red light therapy.
Sure.
But it's the topical stuff that just gets out of control.
Yeah, very
like, wow, 39 steps. I can't even imagine. Even though I did the review, I think I need to go back and watch that video again. When I just was, it's too much. That's for most people's skin. That's way too much stuff.
Sure, it makes sense. Now let me ask you this. So we got the 4 things in the morning, we have 2 in the evening, we have the sun care, or the sunscreen rather, in between. Is there anything else from like a lifestyle perspective that you'd recommend people implementing?
Yeah,
if they're thinking about the health.
Supplementation.
Okay.
You know, it's a big thing. I've focused on it a lot the first half of this year. Vitamin K2, which is a really there's 2 vitamin Ks, 1 and 2. Most people are familiar with 1. That's the one that comes, you eat kale and stuff like that. Vitamin K2 is a different version of this. And what it helps the body do is it helps it move calcium more efficiently, keeps it out of your brain cells and out of your arteries and where it belongs in your bones. So, and in your cartilage formation and in your collagen formation.
Sure.
So it's a very helpful nutrient. If you're on blood thinners, you need to check with the doctor before you take it, but it is a great additive, especially for women, because it does help with bone loss. And one of the things that makes us look older is that as we get older, we lose some bone. If you've had dental work, people that have had extensive dental work will tell you their face doesn't look the same.
Interesting.
Because of the bone loss. You can take what I tell people is you can take your fingertips and just put them on your jawline and just lift up 1/4 of an inch and everything moves. So it doesn't take everything in your neck area just will lift up. So it doesn't take a lot of bone loss to start that sagging going on that people really hate.
That makes sense.
So that helps with that. Collagen peptides, study after study is coming out now. I did an 8-week test earlier in the year, last year, found them of benefit to me personally, and now studies are coming out. It's basically amino acids that you have to some degree in your body. Some people more of them than less. Depends on your diet, your lifestyle, where you live, your environment. All of that plays a role. But what we've seen with collagen peptides is a supplement. Everybody's seen Jennifer Aniston stirring those in her coffee. It's Vital Proteins. It's particularly the one I use. But it's 19 amino acids. So where you're deficient in an amino acid, it's going to be of benefit. So if you've been having brittle hair, brittle nails, that sort of thing, and those amino acids that are particularly impactful for that in that mix of peptides are going to give you benefits. You're going to see improved. Yeah, we've seen it help people with joint health, arthritis, osteoarthritis. A lot of people get a lot of pain relief. My mom had that, and that's how I learned about it way back.
Sure.
She was taking those with chondroitin, and it's like they helped her. I was like, okay, it's basically Jello, whatever. What is that you're taking? So, but now we know that they really do work. So that's a worthwhile supplementation for skin hydration. It just supports your collagen production. Again, what we're doing is making something bioavailable in the body for what it needs. So it's the same kind of theory behind taking vitamins when you're deficient in something like a B vitamin to help, if a lot of people with hair issues take biotin, high doses of biotin, and they see some improvement. So it's just how your body processes things. Genetics plays a role, all that sort of thing. So but supplementation, vitamin C, K2, and collagen peptides in the diet. Of course, a well-rounded diet that leans more vegetarian and more Mediterranean, lean meats if you're going to eat them in moderation, all have been shown to help improve your skin's health.
Awesome. Awesome. Super helpful. Very, very helpful. And for everybody listening right now, if you were doing the, hands on the jaw and lift up, you were doing it at the exact same time that Chris and I were doing it. So you were not alone. Don't think that you were just doing it by yourself. We were right there with you. Okay. So Chris, where can people find your YouTube channel?
It's just my name, Chris Gibson, or Chris Gibson Live is the actual name of the channel. But if you type in my name, it comes up. There's 550 videos. But the good news is I also have a blog called Skin So Fabulous that comes up. You just type it in Google, where all those are cataloged.
Cool.
So that makes it a little easier to find something specific to you. But on the channel itself, when you go there, obviously there's always the newest video is up, what they show you, but just below they'll show you the playlist. And the second one, first is the uploads, so you can see all the current stuff. The next one is, if you're new, start here. Correct. And that's Skincare 101. So it's face washes and exfoliation and how to use moisturizers and how to use sunscreen. So it's all the basics laid out of a skincare routine. And then the series I'm doing now is going to be the basics of 101 of what skincare ingredients do what and who needs them.
Perfect. I love it. Very easy, very easy. We'll put all those links in the show notes so people can check that out. So Chris, the question that we like wrapping up with for all of our guests is, what is your definition of health?
My definition is moving through your life with energy and ease. Energy and ease. So you have enough energy to do the things you want to do and feel good, and ease, flexibility, all of those things.
I love it. Fantastic. Super important. It just allows us to live the life that we want to live.
That's right.
Right on. Awesome. Well, Chris, hey, thank you so much for sharing your time, your expertise with us. This was just absolutely fantastic. Very fascinating, very applicable, and super important stuff. So thank you.
Wow, was that cool or what? I mean, does Chris break this down easily as far as what we actually need to be doing to make sure our skin stays healthy without using all the junk that's typically marketed to us? So if you want to learn more about Chris's work and connect with him, be sure to subscribe to his YouTube channel, connect with him on social media, and check out his work online. So who do you know that needs to hear this episode? Who do you know that is really into taking care of their skin but isn't sure if what they're doing is actually helping with the health and wellness of their skin? Share this episode with them so they can learn about Chris's simple approach to making sure your skin stays healthy, especially as the years go by. And while you're online, head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating and review. It helps people find this podcast when they're looking for information on exercise and when they're looking for information on health. So if you found value in this conversation today, let us know by leaving us a 5-star rating and review. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. We always appreciate it. Have a fantastic week, and we'll talk with you all next week. This podcast is for information purposes only. The statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Julie and Charlie Cates, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained herein. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. This podcast may contain paid endorsements or advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. If you think you have a medical issue, consult a licensed physician.